Mark, the clothes luthier, and thanks for coming back if you're coming back. Um, I've been working on getting the top ready, and I wanted to show you something, a trick that maybe I'll look up and if I can find this video. I got the idea from Daisy Tempest. She is a luthier in London, England, and so let me redirect the camera and show you this neat little trick. So this is a form I used, a template, in forming the top. And what I've done, this is penciled in using this primarily. It's a little small, but what I really want is to have an overhang. And before I cut it and just try to eyeball it, this trick that I saw Daisy use is to take a washer with the right dimension here, and all you have to do is roll it around the shape, and you have a nice consistent line that you can then cut. And I'll just do the other side. Here I am using my old Dremel scroll saw that I got from a garage sale locally to cut the top out along the line I just drew. So today we're working on the Rosette. Okay, let me correct that. I've been working on the Rosette, and it's amazing how much time it's taken me. Part of it is just decision making. But the wood I decided to use, I have some regular ebony that I bought as a headstock. I'm cutting up for other uses. I also have some of the Indian rosewood that I use for the back and sides, so I thought that would tie it together well. The other thing I have is this black and white ebony, and I got these from the scrap bin at Rockwood. Sorry about the memory lapse. And I really wanted to use them, and I like the way the tones of the woods work together. These are hard. And a lot of the work has been trying to figure out how to cut them efficiently with my regular meager tool set. I have a old Craftsman bandsaw that I got free in a yard sale because he couldn't figure out how to set it up. And it isn't really great up to the task. I've also tried using the table saw. That was a little tricky on one. But I do have them cut, and I sanded them down so they're about the same thickness. So from that point, let me change the angle of the camera and show you what I've got going so far. This is an imitation of something I saw online. And actually, I'll try to remember to put the link in. Eric Schaefer Guitars, I watched quite a few of his videos. And he actually sells one of these. It's a setup for making either a regular rosette, or what I'm going to do is an offset rosette. And the idea is that envision the neck of the guitar here, and the thickness of this inner circle is hopefully fainter, is like the sound hole. This is the width down here, and this is the width at the top, so it kind of comes down, and that's done by having two different centers for the circle. This is center of the sound hole, and the inside, this, I set it 3/8 of an inch, is the center of this circle that makes it offset. Now, what I've been doing, I would normally have done a 30-degree angle on this. Fewer pieces, and I think that would look good. This wood isn't big enough. Maybe on a regular one, if I'd been in here, it would have been close. But by making it offset, I just couldn't do it. So I made it 20% 20-degree form here. And his does this too, actually. His just looks prettier. It's just this way. These are pins for shelves, actually, that I used. And what you can do, in this case, I've got this set to cut square, and I can still use this as a clamp. But typically, the idea is you use it to cut these at the right angle. So if I do this, clamp this down, you just cut this off square first to length, so I don't waste too much. Just run the saw against, and this is a fretting saw actually that I'm using. It seems to work real well. Run this straight down. There we go. So this is going to end up going, well, if I put these together for you, it's kind of tricky going fast, but it's going to be here, but it'll be cut like these. And this is going to go around alternating ebony, black and white ebony, rosewood, black and white ebony, ebony. These, one angle was off. They were going to go here, but one angle didn't come out right, and it was going to be too short. So they're plenty long enough to go down here at the end. This one I'm not going to bother doing because the neck's going to cover it anyway, and it'll give me a little bit of room to adjust if I have to, having that space. So anyway, and yes, this I believe was going to be here. So I put one of these ebony pieces in, and just so that the corners are up here, and oops, start out clamping this down. Once again, just running my saw along the form. Now I'm just going to loosen this a little bit, flip it around, make sure this doesn't move on me, clamp it down, let's make sure that everything looks good. Yep. Do the same thing on this side. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is I have a little sanding block here to just lightly make sure that that's nice and smooth. Sometimes comes out a little rough, and then this fits right there. All right, I have put a tape down a piece of wax paper, and so I can still see through, see my markings. And what I'm going to start doing now is using some thin super glue, getting these in nicely and tight together, and just put those together. There we go. think then I'll go to this side. Also, what I'm doing is each time, show you, I'm just making sure I didn't miss any of these and that I have a nice clean edge. Make sure there's no burrs on it. This one does, so don't want anything holding that up. Okay, looks nice. Up well. Out this end. As like that. Then I will just do this all the way around. I misplaced my accelerator. Don't know that I need it, but okay. And I'll continue. Okay, I have all of them glued together, and the next thing to do is to route it out. Now, in order to have like a flatter plane, I made this so that to get the space about the same height as everything else here. It won't be exact. The other thing I did is I decided that for the most part, the bottom side is going to be my finished side or facing up, because that way that was the easiest one to get pretty, nice and flat to each other. So a couple of these with the burn marks on them from the saw, I faced them up for that reason. So now get this routed in. All right, I have my circle cutter set up with my Dremel. I'm going to do the outside hole first. So the pin is in the offset hole. I'm going to do a very, very shallow cut at first, just see how it goes. And then we'll go very slowly after that. That was a little tougher than I thought. The screw for my micro adjustment popped off in the middle of it. Doesn't seem to have done damage so far. I'm just kind of taking that last little bit by hand. And actually cut a little, I think, narrower than I planned. I'm going to have to kind of take another look here. Get this out of the way. Man, that is not coming off. I better take another slice at that. Well, it needs some cleanup, but that is a representation of what it'll look like, especially where it's a little wet there once it's finished. So, so far I'm pretty happy. There's a little gap I have to fill, but somewhere in here I thought I saw it. But I can use dust, a little bit of dust from the wood next to it, hopefully next to ebony. Yeah, right there, I think, maybe. But so the next thing I have to do is get this routed and fastened into the top. So, and it's another beautiful day in paradise. So I'm going to start Actually, I started a little bit routing out the space for this, the rosette. And I decided, I was a little worried about tear out. I've noticed this wood tends to tear out a little bit easier than I'm used to with spruce. Maybe it's just this piece, but so what I'm going to do, and I'll redirect the camera in a second, is I'm going to put some shellac on here, just to hopefully seal the ends of these wood fibers a little bit better. So let me go get that. So this is some clear shellac. It's not the really good stuff, but I should hopefully not get too crazed with it. But so I'm gonna put it on with this. I'm really concerned about right around where I'm cutting. And get this on. Then I'll have to let this dry for a bit. And we will resume, I will resume routing this out. That looks pretty good. I'll leave it like that. All right, I have got this set pretty close to depth. I'm going to cut a little bit in farther. That was a little closer than I really wanted for my first cut. I'll be probably using a smaller down bit to do the very last little bit as I get closer. So let's give this a shot. Okay, looking pretty good. Glad I did do that shellac. Okay, that's can't move out too much further actually. I've had to work on a couple spots a little bit off the chisel. I think I'm pretty darn close to putting it in. So that's next. All right, this became much more difficult a project than I anticipated. I'll kind of go over some of the challenges I ran into, but it got too involved and I just had to focus rather than try to video everything I did. In fact, this kind of busted in a couple pieces, but I can glue those all back together as I put them in, because I was trying to shape it a little bit. But I should be all set to glue this. I got my center line right there, wax paper ready, glue ready. Let's see if we can make a guitar here. Ooh, it's pretty, it's stiff. Okay, I didn't clean that sufficiently last time. That's all right. We'll just do this. I'm sure they'll squeeze in there, but Okay. This in the center. Hold that down when I get to it. Let's get some super glue in here. Help it out a little bit. Okay. All right. Now, paper. I got it. All right. Let it sit up. Let's see what we got here. A little bit of gap there I'm gonna have to fill. A little bit in there. Not too bad. All right. So the next thing to do is to start sanding this flush and see if what little details I have to fill or take care of. Well, this is not the video I had planned on doing. I ran into lots of issues. I believe I mentioned that in a segment the other day. It all worked out okay. There are some little things I have to do, but I expected it. I do have one small indentation that may go from being a bug to a feature, because I don't want to sand too far down. But we'll see. I might do some more work. And there are some little gaps that I expected. I'll fill those in. But I got it sanded flat. And overall, I am happy with it. The process was a learning experience, to say the very least. I had to make a list. So I think it was this segment. Had a chip out that I noticed. I did a close inspection, and so I had to remove it. I was able to separate them at the glue mark. That worked. And I then duplicated it, but I didn't get this angle quite right. When I glued it back together, seriously, this was like down to about there. So I unglued it. Took a little more care and got them to come out the same. So that was one of my big scares. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I hadn't thought about the fact that routing this is a lot more complicated than I thought. Once I thought through, it was okay, but you know, this is the center for this hole, the inside. This is the center for the very outside. But as you start taking this in, you got to be really careful, because suddenly, if you're doing this, you're going to go right through here. So it just took in multiple passes back and forth to do that. The the rosette, usually a rosette is thin all the way around, and it's a little adaptable if you're a little off. With this being so thick, it's not very adaptable. So it was had to be a lot more careful about getting this right. Some of this, what you're seeing, is a line for the inside, but oh, and I had to take a little baby chisel to like get the details as I got too close, and I actually poked through. I don't even know if you can see it a little bit, but anyway, there it is, the rosette. I have a little more detailed work to do on it, but that's, I don't know, not that big a deal. So thank you for stopping by, and if you got to the end of this, thank you a lot. I'm not going to cut this hole out right away. I'm thinking about doing the support here differently, which would entail actually having wood all the way around and routing it all out together, cutting it all out together. So that's where I'm going to stop right at the moment. So thanks a lot. Bye.